Welcome to a new episode of Career Day, the podcast. I'm your host, Adam Zigner, a high school business teacher in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Today, we're joined by Joe Trently, a sports wagering compliance representative with the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board. Joe, a sports wagering compliance representative. Tell me in your best words what that is.
All right. So in a nutshell, well, first of all, Adam, it's good to be here. I'm Joe Trently, as he mentioned, but in a nutshell, basically a sports wagering compliance representative, we do a bunch of things. Number one, first and foremost, it deals with sports wagering throughout the whole Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So it deals with all of the casinos throughout the entire state, as well as the online entities such as FanDuel, DraftKings, Barstool, MGM, you name it, the list goes on. Those are the more popular ones that people hear about, obviously, rather than the actual casinos themselves. But basically, first and foremost, we review promotions that come in from these entities, and we make sure they follow state guidelines, and that's the gist of it, essentially. Now, the guidelines go on and on and on and on, so that's just a long list of things. But first and foremost, that's what we do. If a new casino opens up, or a lot of casinos now are opening up new sports books, so we go oversee the openings of the sports book. For example, Hollywood York just opened up their mini casino in York back in August, and we went down there for the opening of the sports book. So those are just an example of two of the things that we do. There's a bunch of other little things that go along with the job, but I'm not going to bore everybody with that. But that's the gist of it, mainly reviewing a lot of the stuff that comes in from these places. And some of the on-site stuff is cool as well, as I mentioned, going to that. And I think we might have another one coming up here early next year that we might head out to. So that'll be neat. But in a nutshell, that's pretty much what we do.
Very nice. So how long have you been with the Gaming Control Board?
So I started back in the middle of June, actually. I applied back in the February or March range. So for you guys, heading into college and then eventually getting your first job, don't be, what's the word, let down, don't be distraught. It takes a while. It took a few weeks for me to even hear back that I was getting an interview. And then the hiring process takes even longer. So like I said, I got officially offered in March, and it took until June until I actually started the job. So middle of June. So this is 6 or 7 months now that I've been working here. So it's been nice. It's been a nice transition, I have to say, and I've enjoyed it.
Very nice. So the big thing that I touched on in all of the ones I've done so far, my kids like to know what a typical day looks like for you.
So I currently work from home. So it's a lot. I mean, I know a lot of people work from home nowadays with the pandemic, but it's a lot different than if I would go into the office. I want to say it's a lot different, but it's not. I mean, I'd be doing the same things at the office, but then there's the travel, the commute, yada, yada, yada. But at home, I wake up in the morning and I go over to my computer and I check my emails. And in those emails, the promotions come in from all these places and I start reviewing those. We have contests and pools that come in that we also review as well. So they're a little bit different than promotions. So I didn't really explain this, I guess, about promotions. So promotions, an example of a promotion would be Spread the Love on FanDuel. They do this every once in a while where every 1,000 customers that sign up, the spread will go up plus 1 point. I mean, I know I could just be talking French to some people with that, but
right.
That's an example for people, who know sports betting terminology. That's an example of a promotion that comes in. Now, contest and pools kind of like a March Madness bracket or an NFL, weekly bracket, something like that, where you're picking different things. So those come in. That's another example. And that's what I do all day. I get in touch with people who work at the casinos or at these entities if we have issues, if there are things that we need clarification on, or if there's just a miscommunication about something. Sometimes, these things can take a while, going back and forth, email through email rather than a phone call. We do phone calls. We have meetings and stuff like that every now and then, but most of the time it's emails. And that's a gist of my day. It's basically on the computer the whole time. So, or on the phone, and we have meetings like Zoom or Skype or Microsoft Teams is now what we transitioned to. But it's basically the computer all day working from home, but can't complain.
I have a little glimpse into my life. I listen to a lot. I'm a big podcast guy. I listen to a ton of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I always hear the Barstool guys complaining about their compliance people, telling them they can't do this and they can't do that. So, the flip side of that is people trying to run an app and send
Mm-hmm.
these things to you and getting
Mm-hmm.
told by you, hey, you can do this. Hey, you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And it is a
but
process too. It
absolutely.
is a process, and it's sometimes it doesn't work out on both ends. Like sometimes they want to do something that we don't allow, and now I will say one thing. I will say everybody that I've dealt with so far, from every entity, from every company, whatever, they've been nothing but great. There has not been one instance where somebody has been rude, somebody has like made a snarky remark. It's been all professional so far, both from me and our team and them and their teams. So I haven't had an issue yet. I guess is what I'll say. It is a very professional business, and it's a very serious business because it is growing tremendously. All the statistics are online. You can go check out how much revenue the Commonwealth is gaining just from sports wagering alone, rather than just gambling in general throughout the state. Like just sports wagering alone, it keeps increasing monthly and yearly. So
Absolutely. So I know a little bit about Joe's background, but was this always the plan for you? Was the sports gaming world, the compliance world, always the plan?
So no, actually, this deals more. So I have my bachelor's degree, my undergrad degree from California University of Pennsylvania. I went there for sport management, and I have a minor in communications. I got my master's degree from Syracuse University, and that was in broadcast and digital journalism with a sports communication emphasis. So my goal was always sports broadcasting. So ESPN, the whole 9 yards, Fox Sports, CBS Sports, you name it, whatever. That was always my goal. The pandemic hit, and that kind of took a toll on things, especially since the pandemic hit right when I was finishing up my master's degree at Syracuse.
I do have to interrupt you, Joe. I do think that you are legally required to drop the name of the journalism school anytime you mention that you went to Syracuse. So you may want to throw that in there.
SI Newhouse School of Public Communications at Syracuse University.
I think that's an important distinguisher. Continue though.
Yes. So I was there. I remember it was in March, and the pandemic was starting to really hit the United States. And there was rumor that, we were going to go on spring break and not come back. And honestly, I laughed. I'm not going to lie to you. I laughed because I thought there's no way a major university is going to shut down, because, nobody really thought about it at the time. And here, sure enough, halfway through spring break, I'm at home and we get the email from the university saying, we are not returning for in-person classes. You'll receive instructions from your professors, yada, yada, yada. We're finishing online. So that really took a toll. That was in March, and I didn't finish up my degree until August. So you figure that's about 5 or 6 months of online learning that we're not in class, especially for that kind of major where it is all technical with cameras and tripods and equipment and firsthand, like hands-on learning experience.
Right.
That really took a toll. Studios, especially at that facility, they're amazing. They're first class. They're better than a lot of TV stations throughout the country. So that really took a toll. But then, the pandemic hit. I graduated and I started applying for jobs in that field and just wasn't hearing back. And at that point, I made a decision to myself: I need to start making money. It's been a few months, and the most important thing to me was making money. Yes, the job that I get right then and there won't be the career path that I probably choose, but I needed to start making money. So I took a job close to home, and then I still kept looking while I was working, making money. And this popped up, and it was something I was interested in. And it deals with my bachelor's degree at Cal, my sport management degree. And I also not recently, but at the time recently started to get into a little bit of sports wagering. So I understood it, and it was interesting. And pretty much every weekend it was football season. So I was like, I can see myself doing this and getting interested in this. And I applied, and sure enough, they gave me an interview and they offered me the job, and here I am. And I love it to this day. My boss is fantastic. My coworker they've both been fantastic. Now there's only 3 of us. So 3 of us for the entire state of Pennsylvania is a bit hectic at times, but they are both great. They've been nothing but great to me, and the job's fun. I can't complain. And I've been having a blast this last 5 or 6 months.
That's awesome to hear. So, you mentioned how this career path is more closely related to your bachelor's. In not just your department, but some of the other people you may interact with on a regular basis. What type of degrees are you seeing from those people?
So I know my boss has a master's degree. He has a higher level degree as well. The job qualification, when they put out the application, it said bachelor's degree. So a lot of these jobs, it's mainly bachelor's degree. Now, I went to get my master's degree because it was always a goal of mine. I just wanted my master's degree. I don't know why. That sounds like ridiculous. Why would you spend all that extra money? But I've always wanted my master's degree after I graduated from undergrad. I'm not too sure. It's hard to tell because I was only in the office for a day and a half.
Right.
So I didn't really get to interact with a lot of the people that I would work with and get to talk to them and get to know them. It's been all email or Teams meetings and stuff like that. So I don't really know like what kind of level degree that my coworkers inside the organization have.
Okay.
Obviously the higher ups will definitely have some secondary form of education.
Right.
But I can't speak for them. I don't really know. I'm sorry that I don't, but I have my bachelor's degree, and I think my master's degree kind of helped me in that aspect. You coming from a different perspective, my bachelor's degree took care of the business side of things, and then I think my master's degree with the technical and the broadcasting and the communication side of things also came in, and they formed the perfect storm together. So I think that's kind of what helped me within the job interview as well.
Absolutely. So as you're talking about, the difficulties you went through in terms of as your master's degree wrapped up and you're calling people, you're applying for new jobs. Mm-hmm. Was there somebody out there or, anybody who on your journey from high school to now who really kind of helped you or inspired you to, take next steps or go somewhere, that you maybe not had that idea of?
I'd have to say there's a lot of people throughout my journey, both ends, whether it was my bachelor's degree, my master's degree. I know this is going to sound cliche, but especially during my master's degree years, my mom was really, really like an influence as far as, there would be nights where I'd call her and it was tough. It was a tough transition because I went from a smaller Division II school out near Pittsburgh to a major Division I university to go get a master's degree. And it was a big step. It was a big jump. I knew it was going to be tough, but there were times where I'm like, I don't know, like if I can do this, not the career path, essentially, just like certain assignments or certain things that they required of us. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get this done. And she was just basically telling, you'll be fine. Just put your head down, get through it. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. So she was a real influence in that aspect. So I know my parents, that's kind of a cliche answer, but a lot of people that helped me with my internships as well. There was a guy named Derek Parsh who really, really helped me get my internship when I was in undergrad out at Cal. And then Ali Barubi, who works at ABC 27. She's the sports director there. And she's who I did my internship with, my capstone with technically for my master's degree. So those were some influential pieces to the puzzle, I'd have to say. And then having, friends support, relative support, that just comes with it. But I guess those would be the main influencers that I've had that, as long as you have at least, it all it takes is one person to believe in you. And if you believe in yourself, then you can put your head down and get through it.
It's awesome. So flipping to, the job you're in now, what's been your absolute favorite thing about what you're doing?
Oh boy, that's tough. I did think about this, and I think the number one overall thing is I get to deal with sports every day, regardless. I knew, number one, when I wanted a career path, it was going to deal with sports no matter what it was going to be, whether it be the broadcasting side of things or the management side of things, business side of things. whatever it may be. If I could wake up every day and say, wow, I work in sports, I'll be happy. And sure enough, there it is. Now, it might not be like, oh, with a team or with a network or with a station or something like that. That's fine. If I get to wake up, the content is what matters to me. So everything I'm dealing with on a daily basis, it's like secondhand nature to me. It's like, oh, well, I clearly understand this. This is easy to pick up and easy to understand. And I think that's been the number one thing that I've enjoyed about my job. And also, like I mentioned already, my boss has been fantastic and my coworker has been equally as fantastic. They both helped the transition very easy, especially, I've only met my coworker once in person and I've only met my boss twice in person. So that's kind of tough to get going when you don't have that personal interaction in person rather than just calls and emails and stuff like that. So they've both been great. And I think that's a huge part to enjoying your job is you're not going to get along with everybody. Not everybody's going to like you, but it's a small department of us. So I think it's easy to say that we all get along and we all help each other out when need be. So those have been the two. I know you asked for one, but those have been the two things that I've really enjoyed so far about my job.
Awesome. So I got two more to round this out here. So you mentioned you've worked pretty much your entire time with the gaming control board remotely. Something that I've seen, students struggle with here, especially with, last school year and as they kind of progress through this one, working remotely and spending most of the time, on your own independently. Do you have any suggestions for kids about time management or, making sure that you're staying on task when you have that level of independence and you're supposed to be doing certain things?
I think you just have to take it from the perspective of just act like you're in the office or act like your boss is right there with you. And you can, if there's one thing about working remotely or that this pandemic has taught us, I know I mentioned this to you prior before we got on here, is we can do almost not everything, but almost a lot of things virtually. You can have Zoom breakout meetings, you can have Microsoft Teams meetings, emails, the phone calls, this and that. It's been a big factor. And I also think one of the top things that you can do, when I was finishing up my master's degree here, like I said, I was 5 to 6 months left of my degree, of my program. Skill set. I'm just using that field as an example. A skill set, that one of my professors said is, you guys can use this as a huge opportunity. No class has ever come through here and had an opportunity like this. And we were just shrugging, like, what opportunity? We're at home. We're not getting the, and they were saying, if you can show that you can broadcast this from a basement, from a den, from a living room, from a kitchen, and you can put a clear message through to the audience, set up a tripod and get on your phone, just do it on your phone because phones are basically computers nowadays. Just do that. That is going to show more value to employers than kids who are going to have a full year in there. And they're going to understand. They're going to understand that what this last 2 years has been like. They're going to know that it was tough for everybody. And a lot of people are working from home or finishing up school from home. So I just use that as an example. You can take little opportunities like that at home and focus on and think, okay, how can I flip this to my advantage and show that I can be more versatile at home rather than what opportunities I would be given in the classroom or wherever it may be.
Absolutely. So the last question I'm ending with everybody, what advice do you wish that someone had given you, high school, college, early on when you're looking into careers, looking into colleges? What's a piece of advice you wish you would have gotten?
That I wish I would have gotten. I know the most important thing that I could probably say helps is make connections. Make connections. There's the old saying, "Oh, it's not what you know, it's who you know." I truly believe that. I think the more connections that you have in the field, the better, because all it takes is one opening and one person that you might have met at a conference or on a telephone call or had emails with is going to be there and say, "Oh, I met so and so. They were interested in this. They might be a bright kid, might be interested in this, yada yada yada." And all it takes is that one connection. So if you can start building connections straight out of the gate when you get to college, your professors, your academic advisors, go out, even your friends, like go out, meet people. Connections will get you far. Now, we were repeatedly told that, so I guess that's not something that I wish I was told, but I think time management is a big one. You got to know how to manage your time. You got to prioritize things at the top of your list on the most important things that might not always be the most fun things, but prioritizing your head priorities really helps in the end, as well as making those connections.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Joe, thanks a lot. I really appreciate you taking the time today. I know my kids will definitely enjoy this one.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
You too.
Big thank you to Joe again for taking the time to talk to me. Thank you guys that have listened so far to the first couple episodes of this. Again, some pretty cool guests coming up in the next couple of weeks. But you guys can follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and then all the social media channels that are going to be linked here. I appreciate everyone who listens. Thank you guys. Make sure you have a great day.